Welcome to Level Yourself Up, where it's not about perfection, but progress. Today, we're going to talk about failures. We all have them, and they tend to drag us down, and they tend to make us negative. And it kind of plays with our mind. It's because we don't look at failure properly. We look at it as a negative. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about how to reframe or rethinking failure and how it can enable us to a path of success. Failure can be a stepping stone. And I have had failures, even getting this podcast out. That's no big secret. I've been working down here in the basement and I'm not going as fast as I want. I'm having problems because, well, one, I don't have the skills. I'm working on it by myself. I have to learn the skills. And so as we change or do something in our business or in our life, we have to adapt the skills, we have to learn, we have to persevere. And I think a lot of times we give up way too soon. Now, that's not to say there's not a time to shift our goals and shift what we're doing at, but sometimes we give up way too soon. It just can't be done. We kind of have the mindset, this is the way it's always been done. We are, I forget the exact word, but it's learned helplessness. We just become helpless. That's just the way it is. I can't do nothing about it. So that's the way it is. And I think we should embrace the mindset that if I can do something about it, then I should do something about it. And not worry about the things that we can't control. There are tons of things we can't control, but there's a lot of things we can control. Now, I think we can influence some of the things we can't control by following these steps, persevering, pushing through. We can't influence some of the things that we can't change, like other people. We can't change other business decisions that other businesses do that affect us, whether it's a client leaves or something like that. So, what we have to do is retrain the mind, retrain our thoughts that it's just data and not to get emotional about it and look at the facts and make a choice from the facts. I've got a couple scriptures here. And one of them is 1 Peter 5:10. God will faithfully strengthen us through difficult times. It's no secret that I believe in Jesus and I pray and I believe that God will help us help ourselves. But we first have to take some action. We can't just sit on the couch and say, God, I want to earn an extra $500 or $1,000 or $10,000 a month or $50,000 a month and just sit back and watch. We have to take actionable steps, and we've covered some of that stuff, but we have to take action. There's also Psalms 145, 13 and 14. God is faithful and merciful to and he helps those who are in trouble. So think about those verses. Now failure isn't just the opposite of success. A lot of times we look at failure as a roadblock, but really failure is a part of the process. Bad things will happen to us. It's a part of life. It happens to everybody, not just as I shared with me. We have other personal issues we're dealing with. We all have problems at home in our personal life. Some we share with people, some we never share. Some things that I know we ponder in our hearts, at least I do, I don't share with other people. Maybe it's because I'm embarrassed or for whatever reason. Most of the time I think we get embarrassed or we don't have a true confident friend we can share with. Someone that really has our back, that would never share anything. And I think we need that confidence. That's why therapists are good and counselors are good, because they have a legal representation never to share with people. And I think if you can find a coach or a therapist, and you need to confide the deep stuff that's important in our life to work through problems. That's always good. But make sure that you're aligning with a coach or a therapist or somebody, a friend that you know has your back that you can trust. That's why trusting your spouse is so important, and being able to talk in confidence is so important. So I know that doesn't just go with this, but you have to have a framework, some friends to help support us, because sometimes we need somebody else's input to get out. So some things I want to talk about is even professional basketball coaches, football players. Sorry, they have coaches. Michael Jordan had a coach. All these big famous people, they have coaches that help them, show them what they're doing wrong. So there's nothing wrong with you having somebody to help you along the way. So part of retraining setbacks and failures, did you know that Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, they missed 30 to 40% of their shots? I think that's just amazing, um, that they missed that many. You don't think about that. You think, well, they're phenomenal players, but they missed 30 to 40% of their shots. And I think also we think about failure and we associate it with a disappointment, a setback, or an embarrassment, like I was saying. But really, we need to look at it as a stepping stone. That's the biggest thing I want you to take from this, is that to stop looking at failure as a problem that's personal. It's a problem to be solved. And we have to use it as a stepping stone. Take what can you learn from the failure to improve. It's not a roadblock. Failure is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather we should embrace it. It's a natural part of this journey in accepting our goals and realizing our full potential. So think about what Michael Jordan said. He said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. He's lost 300 games, and 26 times he's been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and he missed. He goes, I've seen failure over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Look at his mind shift there. And I think that's why I like that statement, that we have to look at how we see failure, how we see roadblocks, and we need to take them upon ourselves to improve. Personally, we should always be trying to personally improve who we are. If we're not learning, we're dying. We must be learning something all the time, whether it's a new skill, a new mindset, how to do something. Man, let's have fun in life. This does not have to be all negative Sally and down in the dumps. I'm always sick. I'm always hurting. I know a person that's in tremendous pain. She's got multiple health problems, and that girl is always happy and joyful. I mean, it's infectious. So what about you? When you're, and I'm not saying it don't hurt. We have them too, but we got to change our mindset. We got to feel positive and get that energy. I think in the Christian world, we talk about energy and we get a little woo-woo, like, ooh, that's nothing. But let me tell you something for the church people out there listening to it. We go to church, we listen to some songs, and we get all hyped up and say, whoa, Jesus is great. Well, what's energies? That's some energy moving there. We'll call that a spiritual experience. But let me tell you, God is not a respecter of persons. If we get in the right place, we start speaking life into us, then we're going to get life coming out of us. Now I'm going to tell you that Jesus is the creator of life, and that our Father loves us more than we can understand, and his desire is to fulfill all of your mind, your heart, and your body with him. And with that comes a bunch of pleasures. But let me tell you, just because you get saved and you go to church, don't mean your problems stop. And we all know negative Sallies. And I'm not trying to get on a church preaching bench here, but we all go and no negative Sallys. But who would you rather hang around, the positive person or negative person? And it's because the positive person, they always retrain their failures and look at it and figure out how to succeed. And they don't let it be a negative thing. They let it be a positive thing. What about Elon Musk? I'll just bring up some people here. He's a co-founder of many companies, PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla. I think because right now he's tied in with politics and stuff, there's some things going on but he's had tons of failures. You think every rocket they launch, it was successful? Tesla's about went bankrupt. I think it was 2008. But you have to be resilient. You have to push through. You also need leadership. I think you learn to be a better leader as you go through that cycle. You learn. Steve Jobs, just think about that. He was a co-founder of Apple, and then then he got fired in '85, and then he came back. Those were setbacks. Um, I was reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, which is a pretty good book. But he uh, faced several bodybuilding setbacks, but he still won the Mr. Olympia title 7 times. They said in his acting career his accent would never go, and look at him now. His name is synonymous. So much so they still make fun of him, of the way he talks, but it's who he is. He's being who he is, and that's what I want to encourage you to do. Be who you are. But and also think about this. Arnold Schwarzenegger was also got into politics and was the governor from 2003 to 2011. Um, he faced many challenges there. It's kind of in his book. I really appreciated his book because you saw the underside of some of the things he did and what he did to overcome those setbacks. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great philanthropist. He does a lot of after school programs. I don't know if he's still doing that, but I know he's involved. So let's talk about the benefits of failure. We've kind of touched on them. It builds resilience and character. It provides lessons and insights. It encourages innovation and creativity and problem solving. Because to get out of that cycle, you got to get creative to figure it out. It helps refine our focus and priorities. What about common mindset blocks we have? It's a fear of judgment. What about embarrassment? When we make a mistake, it can be really embarrassing, especially if it's in the public. I think sometimes when people have car accidents, that can be embarrassing, or your car's on the side of the road, just broke down. That can kind of be embarrassing. Or you get pulled over by the police, you got the red lights flashing, everybody's like, look at me, look at me. I've got pulled over, and it's a little embarrassing, but big deal. Just be safe. We don't have to be so embarrassed. It's part of life. Perfectionism is a barrier to growth. So that's something else we have, because sometimes we let perfectionism get in the way of the failure and not being successful. If Michael Jordan looked at, I've got to hit 100% of my shots, well, he would quit shooting. Viewing failure as a personal flaw rather than an event. Sometimes we take failures as a personal flaw. Listen, we're all flawed people. We all have issues. But we have to separate them so that we learn from them and grow from them. We can't let the weight of those failures, the monumental failures, hold us back. And then there's the other one: I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I don't know how. If you want to do something and you don't know how, the internet's, just YouTube it. There are plenty of ways to figure it out. Go talk to a friend. We can figure it out. And there are some things that people don't want to do. Maybe they can do it or they don't want to learn how to. And if you have the financial resources, you can hire that done. And if you don't, maybe you can trade services. Be creative. Practice strategies for embracing failures. So let's think about this. What are some practical strategies for us to embrace failure? We have to shift our mindset, reframe failure as feedback and a stepping stone. Set realistic goals. Maybe you have to break that big goal down into a smaller goal, and so you can achieve them and not be so overwhelmed. And that also helps foster progress. So celebrate your efforts, not just your results. Sometimes we just need to be excited, I got it done. Whether it was perfect, whether it was ugly, just celebrate the act that you did it, that you stepped out and you tried it, you did it. Focus on the process and growth rather than the outcome. Already recording this podcast, it's got failures in it. This is my second time to record myself. I'm used to just speaking into a mic and doing it. So I've got failures in this, but I'm going to do my best to cut out the failures, and then I'm going to ship the rest out. I'm going to put it out. It's just the way it is. And I hope you guys get the value out of it. I know I'm not the best speaker, but I'm learning to be. Learn and adapt. Conduct post-failure reviews. What worked? What didn't work? How can I improve? I always evaluate what could have went better. I did I co-led a teaching thing, and I was looking how we can do that better. It just comes to me. Even as I'm recording this, my mind is thinking I could have done this better and this better and this better. But I'm not going to let it weight me down, but I am taking mental notes, and I'll probably write some things down. Even before I hit record on the camera, there's some things I need to do to fix these problems. Develop a support system with people that can encourage and uplift you. I've spoken about this many times. It wasn't for my friends and my wife and my family. I do get a lot of encouragement from them. Sometimes encouragement isn't spoken. Sometimes it's just nonverbal, right? But sometimes it depends on what your love type is. Maybe you need the touch or good, kind words. But so think about it. Be uplifted. Find people that will lift you up and not drag you down. So I've got a question for you. What has failure taught you? What valuable lesson has failure taught you? And maybe you could just leave me a comment and share with me some things that failure's taught you. And this week, here's a challenge for you. I'd like you to reframe a recent failure as a learning opportunity and write it down. Write down 3 things that you've learned from it. And you don't have to share that with anybody, just write it down. Some of the takeaways of this episode is that we have to reframe our failures into stepping stones and opportunities. We have to not make it a personable attack on ourselves. It's just a life event. And I think we can also get the support system, that we set realistic goals and have that support system around us. And I just want to encourage you to embrace failure as part of the growth journey. I don't care what your background is. We all have failures. So I just want to encourage you to like and subscribe and follow me and share this episode with anybody you think might benefit from it. Father, I want to pray for the people listening right now, and I want to ask you to help them see their failures as growth of opportunities. Father, that you would be invited into their life and that you would help them maybe build up some of those insecurities in them and the mindsets that hold us back, the mindsets that keep us from living a rich, full life. And you be blessed, my friends. In Jesus' name, amen.